Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Today's video is going to be a Christmas and end of the year update. I apologize for the awkward selfie shot. I couldn't find anywhere good to put the old phone for filming purposes, so this is what you get. Now, in today's video, we're going to be doing some workshop cleaning. Everybody on YouTube seems to be cleaning up their workshop at this point, and frankly, if you look around, I think cleaning the workshop up a bit would be a fantastic idea. Now, as you might notice, if you have seen previous videos, the workshop has actually improved some. I know, this is absolutely horrible here. Some of you might know that there used to be a steel shelf here and a dresser over there in between the wall and the bar feeder. And all of this steel here came from that. Some of the steel I put back on the shelf. A lot of it I just threw onto the ground and said, I'm gonna pick it up later. I need that shelf out of here. I need it over there. And this stuff was left. So that's the goal today, is to clean up the shop, get some things like this shelf out of here, these lights, these bricks, and just clean this place up, put all the drills back, and just organize this place, clean it up, get the machines cleaned off. Some of you may know that this, compared to what the shop used to look like, really isn't that bad, but I don't like it. This isn't how I want the shop to be. All of the welding stuff goes here. I've got the mag drill from Adam over at Small Town Machine Shop. I've got the little diesel heater from Adam as well. That's going, heating up this place. I do have some jobs that I also want to finish before the end of the year. Of course, it's the 26th now, and I should be able to finish this. I've got 12 of these arms. I'm basically welding on new ends and putting a fish plate on the top. I've got 4 of them done. I need to get 4 more of them done. They need to be wire wheeled because there's some rust on these. These will need to get wire wheeled. So let's get started on cleaning some of this up. Well, I turned the generator off there for a bit because running that big 50 kilowatt generator, it burns a bit of diesel, so I didn't want to use it just for lighting when I really didn't need it and I could just do things off camera. Starting to make some progress getting all that steel out of there, getting everything out. All of this is going to go into there, but I wanted to take a break while the weather was somewhat nice and show another project that I want to get started on today, maybe even finish today, to be honest. I've needed a new welding table in the shop for a while because, well, I've been doing a lot of welding on these. These are some Harrow arms I'm working on, big fat ugly welds, but this is all fabricated, and this, and then you guys saw the pile of parts over there. Lots of welding, and I've been doing it all on that super short cast iron welding table. That was the table off of a Kearney and Trecker 2D tool and die milling machine, but I pressed that into service as a little welding table. Now, sitting that short, or sitting that low, it hurt my back quite a bit. I really didn't want to be working in here. It was just a pain in the butt, and I didn't like using that table. I've kept it in here because it's fairly narrow, and it's really my best option if I want to get out of the weather for welding. Now, to solve that, as you guys saw just a minute ago, I've started mocking up a new welding table. This solves many different problems. One of the issues I have with that other welding table is it is relatively wide for what I actually need in that trailer. The legs push it out from the wall quite a bit. They stick out on either side, and the table itself, it's just a bit wider than what I need. Not only that, of course, I said it's short in both directions. It's short height-wise, and it's short length-wise. Some of the things I'm getting into, they're a little bit long, and it's nice to have a bit more storage whenever you have to make something so thin, keep the square footage. So I've started mocking up a new welding table using this 8-inch by, I believe, 16 or 12-inch. Actually, I think it's 12-inch wide square tubing. This is 1/4 inch thick, 5/16 thick. So this will make a really nice welding table. I am going to have to get a little bit of a shorter chair, maybe cut a notch out, but I'll probably get a shorter like stool or chair for welding on this, or honestly, I might just cut that one down. And I think this is going to end up being quite a bit nicer. The sides, the tubing allows me a lot of different options. I can drill into it, weld in hooks, all of that stuff, and I'm going to be adding storage internal to each of these towers. Now, this central tube is going to have storage welded onto the sides, but I don't think I'm going to have like pockets for storing welding rod on the inside, because I'm going to cut out pockets on the sides for clamps to go into and do grab work. I might even cut out a hole in the middle for clamping stuff in the middle. And then that cast iron table, I thought about it, it's going to go on this end here. The one nice thing about that cast iron table is it is very, very big and heavy, and it is extremely flat. This tubing is not flat at all, which isn't the worst thing for welding, but you know, it's not as nice as a big cast iron table. Also, that table has T-slots. You know, I can clamp things in the T-slots, etc. And cast iron overall just makes a really nice welding table. So I'm going to finish cleaning up the shop. We'll bring these in. Of course, I've got the mag drill. I'll have to do some welding. I'll probably do some wire wheeling, get all of the dirt and crud and stuff off of here. This here steel plate is going to be for a vise. I've got a small 3-inch Athol vise, which would be really handy if it wasn't just floating around the shop. So that's going to get mounted on here. I'm going to make racks and things. I think the 6-foot long tracks of for the torch burner, I'll put some racks on this for that, stuff like that. It'll be a really nice addition to the shop, especially considering the amount of welding I'm doing now and the amount of welding I see myself doing in the future. So I got to finish up cleaning the inside of there first. Well, here's a little progress report on cleaning up. Got a lot of stuff out of over here. Pretty much all the steel in this area is cleaned up. Still got some 5-gallon buckets of stuff that need to disappear. Get that shelf out. A couple things I need to tidy up over there. I need to put all these books in this micrometer case away, but I got the tool cabinet hung. I need to find a good place for this little drill rack. I think I'm going to drill it, get a right angle bracket on it, and attach it to the wall somewhere. That's for Morse Taper 1 drills. Lots of sweeping we got to get done. And I'm bringing everything that's needs to go into the other trailer up here towards the front. And then just removing things as I need to. So, making pretty good progress. Luckily, it's a beautiful day out right now. Absolutely gorgeous, except for all of my garbage here. All of this is going to be early next year. All of it's going to get gone through and go away. I've already started on a lot of things over here. So, over there, there's scrap, wood, and then refuse, trash. I've got some chunk of plywood and some styrofoam. So this week I'm going to be taking scrap out, and the trash is going to go over to a bunker I built over there, and then the wood is going to get piled up and burned. So be taking care of all of that. But for now, I got to take care of all of this because I imagine the weather's going to get a lot worse here soon, and it'll be nice to work in a clean shop for once. Well, it's finally getting dark out at 4:30, so I'm gonna have to break out a flashlight or a lantern, but there's still some stuff here that needs to go into the other trailer. I've got spots for all this stuff and places for all of it to go, but the shop is looking a lot better. It is dark, of course, because the generator is loud, but swept up. I need to clean off the top of this table. All of the machines, the individual machines still need to be cleaned. There's a lot of chips in each of them, surface rust, etc. I'm not going to clean up the surface rust today. Just going to get as much of the chips as I can by hand. I really need to get an air compressor in here so I could blow machines down. I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but I don't care. I like blowing down machines as long as you're careful and you don't get chips up underneath into the gearbox. Of course, this machine is big enough that it's kind of difficult to do that, but I need to get air in here so I can clean off all of that. It's starting to look like a horror movie. All of this got cleaned up. Still have sweeping to do. I just took out 2 5-gallon bucket loads. Well, I guess 1 5-gallon bucket load. Both of them were about half full anyway of stuff I swept up. Over here is looking a lot better. There's still a lot of chips on the ground. Sweeping them across these kind of grates is a bit difficult. And there's a lot of oil on the ground, especially around the turret lathe. Well, not oil, but old dried up coolant that is making it a lot more difficult to sweep everything up. I need to get like a spray bottle and use water to water and maybe some like Dawn dish soap to help that. Again, I'm gonna, like I did for the floor, I'll start from the back. I'll start on the turret lathe, cleaning the chip pan out, cleaning the top of the machine off. Really, there's not a whole lot. There's some collet pads, but all the collet pads go into that big wooden box. Coffee cup, stuff like that. I'll wipe this machine down. They're not gonna be perfect, but they'll be better, and really better is what I need. So I'm going to fire the generator up and get to cleaning, and I'll bring you guys back when I start building the welding table. Well, as you can see, I've gotten the shop looking a lot better. Not perfect. You know, I didn't get every chip out of the chip pan or off the machine. I just got most of them. Tilted this table up to make cleaning a little bit easier. I brushed off the machines, swept up. I need to do more sweeping. It seems like it doesn't end. There's always something on the ground. All this is picked up. Wow, I get a whole camera shot of just bare floor. That is fantastic. I might even get 2. All of this is done. I didn't clean out the Warner and Swayze lathe because I didn't have enough storage for the chips. I need to go to the scrap yard and empty out my 55-gallon drum. I filled up 3 dog food bags full of chips. Of course, that's hung. The shop is not perfect, and as many of you may know, I am one of at least 4 people who is not perfect, so forgive the fact that it is still a bit messy. It's not Stefan Goethes Winter levels of cleanliness and precision, but I can eyeball things more gooder now. I said I was going to get rid of all the 5-gallon buckets, but that one has its green card, so it stays. Now I'm going to start working on the welding table. I'm going to square up this steel plate to this vertical, and then once that's squared up and welded in, at least tacked in, I'll start on the rest of it. I think I'm going to flip this guy over and use this table to weld this up. So let's get to it. Well, I think we made pretty good progress for an hour. Now, a lot of that time was spent messing around with these stupid verticals. I will admit wholeheartedly, vertical welding and overhead welding is just not something I do. My brain does not get it, doesn't do it, doesn't like it. So tomorrow I'm gonna lay it down. I'll get this out of the way. I'll lay it down all the way to the ground and weld up that side, this side. I'll probably get this piece tacked onto the end, because that's going to go on the end to extend this and make it even longer. So far, I'm really happy with it. I don't have any problems. I really like the design. I really like the slim profile. I need to add on some angle iron to protect this wall, because this wall is plastic. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy. So we're going to come back tomorrow and finish her up. Well, it's the next day. It's a little later in the day than I really expected to start filming, but it's about 4 o'clock. But the shop is looking a lot better. It's still not perfect. There's still things I want to do. I want to mount this rack up. There's still some cleaning, honestly, everywhere. There's still things that need to be cleaned and rust that needs to be stripped so that I can apply some oil. And this machine, well, I got to clear off some things from finishing up this table. This table, I'm really happy with it. As I said, vertical welds are not my forte. I'm probably going to grind those flat, and I might even use Bondo or something. Or just lay this whole thing flat and grind those out and re-weld it, which I probably won't do, because this big cast iron table was a bear to get up on here. This is a good 4 inches thick. My hand is 3.5 inches. Yeah, maybe 3.5 inch thick. So, super happy with having this up here. I still need to work on the table itself, and especially storage for clamps and other things. I might just have a bolt come off the side to store these big clamps. There's still bits of steel that need to be put away. There's still things in the lathe chip tray and on the lathe ways. But compared to how it was before, This is a lot better than it was, and I'll be stepping into 2026 better than I left 2025. So I'll spend some more time to cleaning up. I'm very, very happy with what I've been able to get done. Moving into 2026, it looks like it's going to be a lot more certain and a lot better of a year than 2025 was. Around this time last year, I was extremely uncertain. I didn't know what to do. I had no idea if my plans were going to work, if they were going to fail, if I was going to, succeed, or I didn't know what was going to happen. I had no clue. I had no data. I had nothing. Now this coming year, while I don't expect it to be, explosive growth, I don't expect to see explosive growth. I do think that next year is going to be better than last year, or this year. I think that as long as I can continue to improve the shop, improve my equipment, improve my tooling really, and constantly try to do better, store things better. Like this here is kind of a mess, and all of these, my attachments for this milling machine, they need to be cleaned up. As long as I can continue to improve, then I don't think I'm gonna have any issues. I have a much more stable customer base now than I used to have. I have a much wider customer base now than I used to have. And things are a lot more certain. So I'm very excited for next year. Now, I don't have any solid plans. I have some things I want to accomplish and things I want to do. Two of the biggest things that I really want to try to do next year, the first one is I want to get a new lathe. Not brand new, I don't want fresh from the factory, but I want an upgrade over the old Reed Prentice. This machine has been absolutely fantastic, but it is certainly a bottleneck. It has a couple of different problems, and there's really no getting around them. The first and the biggest one, in my opinion, is this speed. This machine only goes up to 530 RPM, which to some of you might sound like it's pretty quick, but in all reality, that's turtle slow for an engine lathe, especially as a general engine lathe. Some of you might say, hey, why don't you just get another lathe, a smaller one that has a lot higher RPM? And my response to that is, where am I going to put it? I can't just get a little lathe for high-speed operations. I have to have one lathe that can do a majority of the work that I have, and that's kind of how it is. Now, I do have the turret lathe, but the turret lathe is really centered around higher production jobs. It's built to do lots and lots of the same part. It's really good for drilling. It's reasonably accurate. It's pretty tight. I really like this machine, but it's not a replacement for an engine lathe. It also cannot do threading. It can do basic, I've got Acme Masters and I can do big Acme threads, but that's for production threading. So what I really need is a 22-inch swing by maybe 70 to 96 inches long. A modern, maybe Accra or Kingston, something with hardened ways that can go up to at least 1,000 RPM. Preferably, I've seen them, lathes of similar swing, I've seen them go up to 1,800 RPM. That would be really, really nice. I would really like one of those machines. I want coolant, threading. I don't care about the taper attachment. I've never used that taper attachment, and I've never used a taper attachment. I've never needed one. Of course, one day I'll probably want one, but coolant. The one issue with this machine is the half nuts for threading often don't disengage. They'll kind of stick, and it's really difficult to get them disengaged at times. I have almost scrapped several parts because the threading, the half nuts are so difficult to disengage. I've tried lubing them up, I've tried different things, that doesn't really help. So I really need to replace this machine. The other thing I want to do is either upgrade this Comet milling machine to CNC or get a CNC bed mill. Now a CNC bed mill, what those are, it's similar-ish to a knee mill, except instead of the knee moving up and down, the head moves up and down on its own set of ways. It's kind of like a CNC milling machine. The head can tilt side to side. It uses a Bridgeport style head. But I really want to add CNC milling capabilities to the shop. There's been several jobs, and just several jobs would have been very helpful, and overall it would be really, really nice, because you cannot do any milling on a CNC lathe unless it's a very big live tooling, you know, multi-axis machine. On a basic CNC lathe you can't do any milling, but on a CNC milling machine you can put a chuck into the spindle and you can do basic turning. So if there is a situation where I have to do some basic turning and CNC is kind of a better option for that, I could use the milling machine. So those are the two biggest machine upgrades that I want to sort of focus on next year. I want to get some TIG capability on this Miller 330 ABP. This machine has been absolutely amazing. I love it, but I would really like to be able to use the TIG welder function that it has. And another thing is some climate control in here. Currently I do not have proper climate control. In the summer I just open the door at night and I close it during the day, and it does stay pretty cool in here. But in the winter I really need something that constantly keeps this place at a constant temperature, because that is the reason behind all of this rust. The rust that is everywhere, that's because these machines, they all get cold. As the day goes on, the outside air will warm up, water will condensate on the machines because the machines are cooler, and it's just not good. All that rust, not good. To solve that, of course, I've got the diesel heater from Adam over at Small Town Machine Shop, which I really, really like. But one other thing I'm thinking about doing is installing a wood stove in here. It's either gonna, if I do put a wood stove in, it'll probably vent out there, maybe. Or it'll be underneath the bar feeder and it'll vent outside. So a wood stove would be really nice in here. I really like wood heating. It's a very dry source of heat, especially if you draw your intake air from outside, like the one in the camper, or not camper, but the one in the little apartment draws all of its air from outside, which I really like. So heat in here would be really, really nice. I need an air compressor. I want to run air lines in here. That would really help with my sort of efficiency when cleaning. I could very quickly blow the machine down, get all these chips off. That would be absolutely fantastic. Things like that. Next year I might put up the bridge crane outside. That's kind of a, I don't know what I'm going to do with it sort of situation, the bridge crane. I've debated, instead of a typical bridge crane style where the beam floats on rails overhead and you have two big rails overhead, I'm thinking about doing more of a harbor style crane where you have two rails in the ground and you have beams that go up and it's kind of like a gantry crane that you roll around, but it rolls on rails. I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing, because that would be a lot easier. I have all the material for that, but I need to do some research and figuring on the engineering behind such a project like that. So I need to do some thinking on that. And I think that's everything that's kind of business and YouTube related. I do have a massive list of projects, of things I want to get done, things I need to get done. So there's quite a few things, but I was able to hit the highlights. With all that being said, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, please like and subscribe, and have a fantastic day.